We are continuing our coverage on the fallout of the announcement that facilities with the Office of Juvenile Justice are at capacity. The office has reached out to the juvenile court judges to release young offenders on parole to help free up spaces at facilities across the state. Members of the New Orleans City Council have expressed their concern about all this, and today we're hearing from Councilman Joe Giarrusso, and you guys have been talking about this. This is a problem, and it's not just here, it's around the state, but you guys are looking at what's going on here.
It's a problem across the state, and of course, actually, I learned about it from WWL. You all told us about it for the first time. So we asked the judges about it while we were at our budget hearing, and now it's how do we fix the problem? A lot of times we have these plans, and then you have to pivot as a result of what's happening elsewhere.
Does it mean more money, and what will the more money do? I mean, because obviously more space is needed.
So a couple of different things, Eric. Like, number one, we've already baked in some more money for the judges anyway. One of the things that I was really concerned about is Jefferson and Plaquemines Parish have more robust juvenile probation parole diversion than Orleans has. We need that here in Orleans too. And then secondly, how do we grow the electronic monitoring program, let kids either stay at home or go to school as necessary?
Well, and not just grow it, but make sure it works, because we've seen those programs before where they put the ankle monitors on people, they malfunction, or they just, something else just goes awry with them.
You're right. And look, that's one of the conversations we had after the meeting was, what do we need to do to make sure it works? It's one thing to put money or put resources at a problem, but unless there's the execution and making sure it works, it doesn't matter.
And we are seeing so much more juvenile crime these days, and that's part of the biggest problem.
Well, and that's one of the things we've talked to the judges and NOPD about is I think we need to be really candid about these are the areas where we're doing well and these are the areas that are problems, and then how do we address those problematic areas.
And right now part of that problem is the lack of personnel at NOPD, and the Police Foundation, the Mayor's Office, the Council are trying to do things to get more cops on the beat, but that's a hard battle.
It's tough just in the environment that we're in overall, number one, but then number two, what we're also trying to do is civilianize as much as we can. What are the things that we can take off NOPD's plate so they can go do the most important things, and things that they don't need to be doing, let other people do.
And so what do you think that the answer is? I mean, it's not just putting civilians in places like that. Obviously, we need more police to join the force, and we're seeing a lot of people leaving. And it's not just in this department, it's in departments all over the country.
I mean, the answer is yes, you need everything. So what can we do about promises that have been made to NOPD? Take-home cars, for example, is at the very top of the list. What are we doing to make sure that they're being paid properly? What are we doing to make sure that they have the proper vacation? All these intangible things. And then what are we doing to make sure that once you're in NOPD, we're doing everything to retain you as much as possible?
And some of the promises the mayor and the Police Foundation have made to get more officers, to retain the officers we have, is being used with one-time money, and that is a problem for paying for it down the road.
Yeah, one of the big things is the health insurance, for example. The police are proposing having health insurance for just 3 years. Well, that's not going to happen. Once you give somebody a benefit like health insurance, it's going to go way past 3 years and be recurring. And not only that, the police haven't said health insurance is one of the things that they need to make them stay.
And what are the police telling the council are the things that are most important to them to stay on the force, to recruit more officers, things like that?
I think it's a number of different things. Number one is pay is always going to be an issue for everybody. Number two is how do you improve morale internally? They're talking about the Public Integrity Bureau, making sure things that happen with discipline are consistent and predictable. And then how do we, again, make things that are more accessible for them in terms of holidays, getting paid, all of those things that maybe just require around the edges tweaking.
And now, in your district, and probably every district in this city, I mean, the roads are just torn up everywhere. Is this that we're trying to spend that federal money before it runs out, or what is happening? Well, why is everything going on at once?
I think there's two things. Number one is we've had 4 different DPW directors, so there's been a lack of continuity there to have the consecutive leadership that you would want. That's number one. And then you're right. Number two is there's been a rush to make sure that all of this road work is being done, but in having so much road work done, it's created problems because there's so much going on at one time.
Well, and one of the problems is, and it just seems like one day a street will be open, the next day with no announcement, it's closed and there's construction there.
three legs of the stool: coordination, communication, execution. And when you lack either one or two of those, you're going to really upset neighbors every single time. And we also, Eric, have people whose water shut off on a moment's notice too while that street work is going on. You want to drive neighbors crazy, don't tell them something's going to happen that affects them.
Well, and the other thing that's getting to be a problem is the garbage collection. I know in the area where I live, it was Richard's Disposal. We were never told that it was going to go down to 1 day a week. I had to find that online.
Right. Well, again, a communication issue, and now because of the Metro bankruptcy, we're not touching anything that's going on in the Richards affected area until that's worked out too.
So, what do you see as the biggest problem right now that the council is facing, or is it just so many it's hitting you all at once?
I think it's right now, how do we take the money that we have, because we have extra, get the resources that we need, and then make sure they're being delivered properly to the public.
And how is the communication between the council and the mayor's office now? Because it had been strained.
I think if you watch the budget hearings, you saw some departments we had great communication with, and others we told them you need to do a better job.
Which budget? Which department are you talking about?
Capital projects was one of them. Just to be candid, with one of the groups where, again, how is money being spent? We're going to have $900 million. How are we going to use that? What are we going to use federal money on top of that? How is it all going to work? Not really great answers to that. So now we say, all right, knowing that's a problem, how do we try and fix it?
And just quickly, what is the biggest complaint you get from constituents in District A?
Road work, sewage, and water board.
Those are big problems.
Yeah. There are problems everywhere.
Okay, all right. Joe Giarrusso, thank you very much. Let's get over to Peyton, checking the forecast.